Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're doing good today. Well, it might not exactly look like it, but spring is just around the corner. And so people are going to start buying chickens. People that have chickens are going to increase their flock. And I want to share with you a breed that I bought last year that I think you really want to take a look at. There's just a lot of good traits to this bird, and there is a couple drawbacks which we'll go over, but I've owned a lot of different chickens in my life, and this breed here really impresses me. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the breed I'm talking about is a Pearl Star Leghorn, and I bought these last spring, so I've had them almost a year. And I'm going to share with you what I have seen, my experience with them so far. But as a general overview, these are a cross between a Partridge Rock and a Sussex. They're very tame. I think, except for one thing, which we'll talk about here in the video, I think they would be really good for people just starting out with chickens. They get about 4 to 5 pounds. They're not a big bird. They get along well with other birds, and they started laying at about 5 months, which for most breeds, that's pretty normal. Now, let me explain to you exactly why I like these birds so much. So the first thing that I really like about them is their temperament. Now, most brown chickens I have found, while they might be nice towards humans, they tend to be kind of mean towards other chickens. And Issa Browns, Red Stars, Red Comets, they're all a variation of a Rhode Island Red. And I've got some Issas right now. They're good egg layers. But when it comes time to feed, they can get kind of mean, and I just don't care for that. I think it's unproductive in a flock to have bullies, so to speak, you know, in your flock. And so that is one thing I got against, especially the Issas, is they just kind of tend to be mean. Now, if you've had chickens for a while, you're going to 100% understand what I'm talking about. If you're thinking about getting them, this is something that you really have to understand. You can start out with, say, 10 or 15 chickens. A year later, you might be down to 8 or 9. I've lost chickens because of hawks, because of raccoons. You know, just things happen. And so you're going to have to put new chickens in with an existing flock sooner or later. I almost guarantee it. Issas, things like that, you got to kind of watch. You want to put in a bird that will stand up for itself, so to speak, like a Wyandotte or something like that. Because they will just bully a new flock. Well, from what I've seen out of these, you know, Pearl Stars, they are just a really tame bird towards all the other birds. I think it's because they're just a smaller breed, and they just want to get along. So if you're wanting something with a good temperament, these Pearl Stars, I think, would work out really good for you. Now, your coop, that's another consideration. As a general rule, they say you need 4 square foot of space per chicken. Now, that's kind of misleading. Okay, right now I've got somewhere around 25 chickens. But mine don't stay in the coop all day. And these Pearl Stars don't hardly stay in there at all. I mean, they are always outside, you know, foraging, looking for things like, you know, something to eat. And so, in my opinion, you can get by with a smaller coop and have the same amount of chickens as you would, you know, a heavier breed, or even have more chickens than, say, a Golden Lace Wyandotte or a Barred Rock or something, just a bigger bird. So that is a benefit that you might want to think about if you don't want to build a great big coop, but you want maybe a few more chickens. I think these would really work out good for you. So let's go ahead and talk about the next one. So another thing that I really like about them is they really forage well. And all chickens, to a certain degree, will forage. But these guys, I've owned a lot of different breeds of chicken in my life, and I have to say these are one of the best that I have ever seen. And when it comes to spring, summer, fall, that really does help to cut down on your feed bill. Now we're going to get into egg production here in just a little bit, but one of the things that I'm comparing them, they're up there with a white leghorn as far as egg production. But white leghorns, I feel like they have a more of a tendency to get caught by a predator because they are white. And so while these forage and they go all over my yard, and I have hawks and coons and everything else, I have yet to lose one. And I think it's just because they're brown and they're a little smaller. You know, maybe they're just a little bit smarter, I guess, but great foragers. And so far haven't lost any to predators. So that to me is a big thing where I live. So let's go ahead and get into egg production now. Okay, so let's talk about egg production. Now, these have been laying since last fall. And so I'm going to share with you my experience on how many I've been getting and how big they are. And I've even kind of done a comparison here that I'm going to show you. But with the price of eggs, it seems like it keeps going up for whatever reason. I think we're going to have a lot of people that are going to start getting chickens for the first time. So here is my honest opinion on this. Now, I've got an egg that is from one of my heavy breeds. This would be like from a Barred Rock, a Silver Lace Wyandotte, Golden Lace Wyandotte, and it's a pretty good egg. Pretty good sized egg, that is. Now, this is one from my Pearl Star Leghorns, and when you compare the two side to side, you can tell that this one here is bigger. So what I did was I actually measured it out, and what I come up with was I just grabbed like 3 or 4 of each kind, and I weighed them separately. And the bigger ones here actually weighed somewhere between 2.7 and 2.8 ounces. These here weighed between 2.2 and 2.4 ounces. So the looks might be a little deceiving because they're actually not that far apart. Now, I did some online research on this just to see what you know, they were saying, what Google or whatever was saying how many eggs you could get from a Pearl Star Leghorn. And they said anywhere from 240 a year, 260, all the way up to 300. Now, what I have seen is I'm getting 5 to 6 a week, okay? And that is not an exaggeration. You know, these have just been really good laying chickens. So let's run a few numbers here. If I'm getting 5 of these a week, that's 260 a year. Now, a bigger breed, if you're new to chickens, you know, look this up, but a bigger breed, you know, your Barred Rocks and things, your Buff Orpingtons, things like that, some of them will lay, you know, maybe 5 or 6 a week, but chances are you're going to get a breed that's going to lay 3 to 4 a week. So, like an egg this size, if you get 4 a week, well, that's 208 a year. So you can see the difference. So, you know, these are a little bit smaller, but you're using less feed, you're using less space, and you're getting more eggs per chicken. And so I think that part alone speaks volumes. But here is what really this is what made me make this video. All winter long, I have got eggs from the Pearl Stars. I was down to where I was getting about 2 dozen a week. And like I say, I got somewhere around 25 chickens. And it was them 4 that was giving me 90 to 95% of them. I was getting pretty much 4 a day. And so it just amazed me that how well these Pearl Stars laid through the winter. And so that really tells me that, you know, somebody that's looking at getting into chickens should really take a look at these birds. Now, like I said at the start of the video, there is a couple downsides. And so let's talk about that. Now, one of them, they really do like to run. They love to forage. I did do some research, and you can keep them in a smaller confinement, and they do well. But they really like to run. So you got to do one of 2 things with these birds. You either got to have room for them to get out and move around, or I would trim their wings. If I did not have the room to just let them run, I would trim their wings where they couldn't fly over a fence. And if you're going to put in a fence this year, I would make it a small square. You know, these are a smaller bird. And so you want to try and keep them in if you know you have neighbors and things real close. So that is one of the downsides I see to it. Now, this one really isn't going to affect a lot of people, but if you ever decide to do a farmer's market, they don't like these. For whatever reason, they like these. They will pay premium for this egg. They won't look twice at this egg. And I've sold eggs at farmers markets, and so you just have to have a big brown egg or a blue egg or a green egg. But if it even looks close to white, people just don't want to buy them. So you might think about that. Now, here is one, if you're new to chickens, you have to look at this. This is the bad thing about chickens. And if you've had chickens for a while, you understand what I'm talking about. Most chickens only lay for 3 to 4 years decent. Really, after that 3rd year, they're going to start going downhill. And so you got to do something with them. And the bad thing about these, they're not big, okay? You're not going to get a lot of meat off of them when you go to butcher them, because you have to do something with them. To me, it's not fair to try to sell them to somebody, you know, and just the only thing that I have found is I can them. And so you take a hen that is 3 or 4 years old, it's tough. If anybody out there has a good idea or something that they have done to make a chicken that's 3 or 4 years old, to make it tender, please share it in the comments, because the only way I have found to really make these, you know, edible is to can them. That will soften them up. So that is another thing that you have to look at. These are not a dual purpose, you know, meat, egg, bird. So you want to keep that in mind. Now, like I say, I really am impressed. I'm going to have to call some of mine this fall, because I've got some that are getting old, and I am definitely going to get more of these. Well, let me know what you think. Everybody has an opinion on what's a good breed of chicken. Please share it. I really do have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of people getting into chickens for the first time this year. So anything that we can do to help somebody out is appreciated. Well, that's the video, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.